Hi YouTube, Aid here from Dale Skidmore Second Hand Tyres. Welcome to the 23rd episode in the boat restoration. This is bizarrely part of the trailer sequence still. It's funny to have the trailer halfway through the main event, but that's the way it goes. Well, I've put together the spine and the cross member. It's more or less at right angles at the moment, and a bit of fine tuning to do, and then the diagonal members, I'm going to work out how best to fit them on. Get some nuts and bolts for all of that, and a towing hitch, and put that on, and then start fitting the rollers as well, and that'll be that. But again, we're back to the thinking a lot about it and the best way of going about doing it. But it's starting to look more trailerish now. Well, there's been a bit of a break because work's got in the way of doing the trailer, and a bit of family kerfuffle as well. But I just got back to it today. This is Sunday, cup final day, whatever day that is. And I've been thinking about how much of a right angle there has to be between the cross member and the spine of the trailer, because obviously if there's a lot, then it's going to keep steering to one side or the other. And I've had a chat with a couple of people, and one of them said that it doesn't really matter because they're always going to be one wheel going straight, which I think because the road wheels are towing slightly, he's sort of right. And my old man used to make trailers. There's a sideline a few years ago with a mate of his who was a banger racer, and they used to use double axles, so apparently it didn't matter with them either. So I'm still none the wiser really. But these two lines here are about 5 mil apart, and that's about 1.2 meters away from the axle, and so maybe with a bit of judicious drilling and such like, I might be able to push the spine over a touch to square it up even more. I've no idea what it equates to in angle. It's probably about 89 point something degrees. I suppose I could work it out using the old sine, cosine and tangent. Or is that good enough? I've looked at some YouTube trailer making videos, and they don't even have a ruler in shot, let alone anything else. They must obviously measure things before they bolt or weld them all up, but they don't say anything at all about measuring, let alone doing any on video. So maybe the best thing to do is take that as good enough, and then just do that final tweak with the length of those two members that go diagonally to the spine from the cross member, and that should be good enough. I mean, that's all I can do really. I don't know any more than that. I'm in the dark. Well, after much thinking, thought, overthinking, changing my mind, going back again, rolling it around in my head, kicking it around the ballpark, I've decided I'm going to cut out those two triangles that are shaded and join the two sides of the bed frame together in a V. Then I can fix this end against the spine, underneath the spine, and I'll get an idea about where to drill and bolt through onto the cross member, and at the same time hopefully work out how to square up fully the spine and the cross member together. I don't think it's that crucial to get it any more than what I've got it already, but if I can get it even closer, then so much the better. Like I say, I'm probably just overthinking things a bit. I mean, the old trailer, the spine on that bent like well, up and down, around and round, and that must have still been towed whilst it was like that, because it didn't form like that by staying still in the garden. So well, we'll just bite the bullet and get on with it. Well, I've cut the two pieces length and cut that angle on them, tidied them up on the grinder and on the bench sander as well, which you've seen before in some of my knife videos. And I've got a bevel on the edges, so I'm going to tack them and turn it over and tack on the other side as well. Check it all goes together nicely, and then I'll offer it up, and then if it's okay I shall weld it all along. That should be fun. Well, I've just chucked it onto the trailer. It's maybe, I measured across the bottom and it was 90.5 centimetres, and I wanted it to be 90. Now it's a little bit short on the spine, but for the sake of closing it up by 5mm, it's just about to carry on with it like it is and go from there. Here's Ringo. I decided it was better not to worry about chopping it up and doing it again for the sake of a couple of mil. And this is the second side I've done. The first side's a bit rough, but this one's a lot better. So you get me eye in just towards the end of the time I need to do any welding, really, I suppose. But that's the way it goes. Well, I've drilled the holes for the U-bolt, fitted it up to mark out where to cut the back end on these on this V-brace, and a weird thing's happened. The threads on the U-bolt have totally seized. When I did it up, it wasn't difficult to do up, but it's forced it all together and it's tightened the grip of the U-bolt on the scaffold tube. And there's also a long washer with the two holes in that goes through the U-bolt to spread the load. That's still tight, but the right hand side nut has come down a few threads and the washer's free, but I can't move that anymore. Like, the thread's distorted in some way, and the left hand side is absolutely locked solid. So I don't know, I don't quite understand why the thread should be buggered like that, because it didn't take any effort to do it up. So I might have to just cut this one off and get a new one, and see if I can't work out why it's gone like it has. Well, after much deliberation over the last, I don't know how long I've been thinking about this, I've bitten the bullet and got on with it, and it's probably the best thing I could have done, because I sorted out the problem with the outer square. Well, I think I have, because I haven't slackened it off yet, but I put a ratchet strap from that corner up to the tip of the spine and tightened it up until the spine and the crossbeam was square, and I've made little 3mm hole pilot holes through the diagonal pieces and mounted it on again with the U-bolt there. And I was a bit wary about tightening that up again after what happened last time, but I put some more washers and things on which were left over from the old one U-bolt, which I cut off. So hopefully that problem isn't going to reoccur, because they're £10 a bloody time. But I put it on there and then lined up, measured up across the spine as a centre line, and everything worked well, and drilled through the pilot holes into the crossbeam, so I was able to then put the big pillar drill on the floor and drill through the crossbeam and then drill out the holes in the diagonals, and it's all lined up nicely. I think now it's, I don't know, should I slacken that off now, because I haven't actually done the nylock nuts up underneath the crossbeam yet properly, but they're very tight fit anyway, so I might just do that and see what we've got. Get back to you in a second. I think we'll call that a victory. It's practically no gap at all now, just a tiny little gap. And as when I measured from the end of the spine here at the toe hitch end down diagonally to the back end, just over the middle bolt of the suspension units, it was about 6mm out, which tallies with the 4mm roughly that was out further down the spine. And a lot of people I spoke to, well, I say a lot of people, a couple of three people I spoke to didn't seem to think that would matter too much, because they said that I said about the wheels being toe in, so there's always going to be one wheel moving straight anyway, and when you drive a car down the road you weave, you know, a tiny amount, you're always correcting the steering anyway, so I think that'd be dead good enough. Dead good enough. To go in the ends of the diagonal box sections, I've made these plates up, well, bits of angle iron from a salvaged bent up old road sign that was chucked in the side of the road, and put a hole in them and then tack weld them into the ends of the box section so that the bolts go through and they don't squash the box section too much. So about 1mm or so play, so that'll tighten them down and it won't bend the box section, squash it, because obviously the more it squashes the more chance you have of it coming loose, the bolts. So that will squash down onto there and won't go any further. So I'm just going to tack weld them in now. Well, I think that really wraps up this episode. All I've got done sort of like finishes nicely there. The next bits are fitting the brackets and the toe hitch, and also I'll work out something for the winch stroke end stop, I suppose you'd call it, because there's a little V-notch that catches in the prow of the boat, the rubber thing that hangs off the bracket and stops it from going too far forward. So I think we'll call that a day now. I'll say thanks for watching. I'll see you all soon. Cheerio.